Hello everyone and welcome back to another anime episode review. I am the Rat, and this is The Rat's Nest. I'm joined as always by Kyle. Say hi, Kyle.
Hi, everyone.
Today we're talking about Mushoku Tensei 2 Isekai Atara Honki Dasu Part 2, Episode 9, subbed, entitled Magic Circle to the Sixth Stratum. Which I had to move my thing to look at. Anyhow, this was a great episode. I loved it. And this is actually the episode, I think, with the most changes to the source material. I won't say changes so much as there's some changes, some additions. We'll talk about it, absolutely. What did you think about this episode, Kyle?
We got a lot of... I don't know why. Early on, I expected this to be like more than half of it was outside the dungeon, and then the rest of it would be like back in. But it went back and forth a little bit there for they're out, they go back in, they leave to restock and do things, then go back in. It was nice getting Roxy back. I like the stuff that they're, for what I'll assume, setting up with her and Rudeus. And my God, Rudeus just not saying anything about him being married. We'll get to that.
Trolling. We did a little bit of trolling.
But it was a really good episode.
Yeah, so if you're new here, the way that we do things, I know everything about Mushoku Tensei, except for whenever I forget very basic facts. And Kyle does not. He is an anime only, and he's watching through it. So what we do is we go through it. Kyle kind of runs us through the episode, and we talk about it, we review it in an anime only friendly way. And I crack jokes and I make predictions, some of which are true, some of which aren't. Maybe all of them are true.
You make predictions.
Well, I don't make predictions. I make jokes. You make predictions.
I make predictions.
Yeah, I'm the jokester. I'm the funny little guy. And this episode is going to be no different, except I will be talking a little bit about some of the stuff that they it's really added as opposed to changed. There's a couple stuff added, a couple stuff changed. I'll try to remember it. Kyle, if you would be so kind as to start talking about the episode. We'll talk about it. I'll fill in where I need to fill in and give our thoughts on stuff.
And if I forget some stuff that happens, I can ask you. But anyway, starting out in the episode, we get a little bit of the Roxy experience from... We see a lot of what she did whenever it was her alone surviving in this dungeon. She'd go around, mark on the walls, fight monsters, and worry I want to make it out of here. I want to get out and be a teacher. I want to live a normal life, like my family did, but I'm probably going to die in here. Just kind of what you'd expect if you explained to someone that you were following a character trapped in a dungeon or a labyrinth.
Yeah, for a month.
Yeah, for a month, which is pretty impressive. So then she's been following these teleporter circles. She's saying stuff like, they warp me all over the place, but some of them always just bring me back to this exact same spot. And then another one shows up, and she's like, well, shit, I got to take my chance with this one.
Well, I think what it is that is the one that she was teleported to, and she stepped on the trap. And this is her safe room. I think that's what they were. This is her safe room. Okay. And so that one itself is a random teleporter. So she steps on it, it takes her to random places, and then she goes around, steps on various teleportation circles, trying to find the way out. And she ultimately always ends up back in this room.
Huh. So whenever she steps into that teleporter, the scene shifts. It doesn't show it doesn't re-show any of the fight. It just shows the ending of the last episode where Rudeus kills all of the monsters and freezes them all away. And they have, Rudeus expected them to have a fun little reunion, but he sees her and he's like, oh, Roxy, Roxy, I don't know where that came from.
Wild.
It's good to see you again. Hey, and she's like, I'm sorry, who are you again? And he's like, oh no, that's fine, and throws up.
Yeah, with the voice actress providing a very, very interesting take on vomiting.
He went like, blah, 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 blah. It was,
which it works.
It's fine. It didn't. I was confused as to what he was doing. It didn't sound like throw up, but for some reason, right? I don't know why I thought this, but I thought they had seen each other recently within the span of the show.
Nope.
But No, last time
It's been
she
11
saw
years.
him was when he was like a little kid, and so I was
5.
like, oh, she has amnesia. I was like, oh no, just the time frame.
Yeah, it's just
She even in the next scene, she says, oh, I just didn't put together like that cute little kid that I've seen. You know, a little sus that she says that this like the cute kid to what he looks like now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, in a whole interaction, yada yada. Rudy gets himself a big whiff of Roxy, which I think
Oh god,
hugged her and
yeah.
just immediately started whiffing, which is
It
wild.
was super weird. He's just like huffing, and then she's like, "What are you doing?"
He's getting a little freaky. And then yeah, all that good little stuff happening.
So they take her, and you know they walk out of, or they exit the dungeon. They bring her back because they're not gonna press onward whenever they just found her and she's been like on the brink of death for about a month.
Yeah.
So they bring her back. They want to get her rested up, and then I know that I think this is said a little later than that scene, but Geese basically states like, well, we should try to get back in there as soon as we can because it's like a curse. In their world they perceive it as like if something like that happens and you leave a dungeon, you shouldn't do that because then like a curse will affect you. And Rudeus is like, I wonder if that's how they perceive like trauma in this world.
Yeah, it's basically like if you don't go back to a dungeon into a labyrinth within 3 days of leaving it after something like that happens, you're gonna be too scared to go back in there.
Yeah, like you need
it's PTSD.
Yeah, so, and granted, their world functions differently. So in their world, it's like you should just push down those feelings and throw yourself back in there before you let your fears take over. But they call it
smart.
I know it is. It's nice bits of world building. How we perceive it as trauma, they perceive it as a curse.
Yeah, viewing the differences between our world and their world, and kind of our different perceptions on stuff. It's one of the things that Mushoku Tensei does really, really well.
No, I mean it's kind of like with birthdays, where a year, cool, but they only celebrate they have really big birthday celebrations every 5 years instead of like every year.
Yeah. And with polygamy, where Paul has two swords.
That's later. So what is it? They're back in there. They're just taking some days to rest. I remember there's like one scene where Rudeus Roxy's reading this book or reading the teleporter book that Paul was like you should
Which,
read.
By the way, 2 clarifications from last episode, at least the 2 that I remember from the comments, which I'll read you the comments after this episode. After we're done recording from last episode and the episode before. I apologize everyone who's commented and I don't really respond fast because I want to read them to Kyle and then I end up forgetting. But 2 clarifications. One, she did eat monster meat from the spiders, but obviously it was horrible and it's like poisonous spiders. It's not going to be good
enough
meat.
to
So
keep
she
you
was feeling
alive.
a little delirious from that too, but she had eaten some of the meat there. And then 2, this labyrinth book was not the one that was introduced in season 1. That was a different one from Sig's summoning, which is mentioned at the same time because whenever Sylphie gives Rudy recommendations on teleportations books, Sig's summoning magic, I believe, is one of the ones that he looks at, as well as this one on the teleportation labyrinth. But it's actually Sig's summoning magic that is mentioned in book 2 back in Roa. So I do apologize. This book was introduced in the first half of the school arc.
Yeah, how dare you not be perfect? God.
I know. I feel like a fake fan. Anyhow, that's my clarifications.
Okay, so the one scene, she's reading this book and Rudeus is just he's pacing back and forth and she's even like, stop that, that's distracting me. And then she's like, I have a question about this book, and he's like, yes, I can answer anything. He kind of runs up to her. She's just trying to get him to clarify some stuff about the book. They sit down, she's talking, and he's like, his first thought, he has an intrusive thought. She's like, damn, she's so small. She could probably fit in my lap. She'd probably rip my head off if I tried to do that now. I thought that was a pretty funny scene.
Oh, it was great.
So then, what is it?
I think one thing that in general, I guess we can go ahead and kind of kind of touch on it, because I mean we're about to get into the section where we see it, is the anime does a great and arguably even better job of showing Roxy hitting on Rudeus.
Yeah,
than the light novel did. You want to breach that topic right now, Kyle?
Let's just get right into that topic. It is not subtle at all with her like giving these like signs and hints, and what I'm about to say is scattered throughout the episode, but just it all happens in this episode, where there are times where all these like little glances and looks that she gives Rudeus's way, and even at one point he's talking about the book or like teleporter circles, I think it's later, and he's like, yeah, I don't know this, but Nanahoshi might, and then she's like, who is that? Is that your girlfriend? She goes, oh no, I don't have a girlfriend, haha. And then
it's true, he's not lying.
He's not lying, but it's the thing in writing where it's like if a character just said like, oh, if I have a wife, I'm married, because she wasn't there when he said it. This would solve almost all these problems. And
you see, yeah, but it's not. She was just like, is Nanahoshi your girlfriend? And he was like, what? No, of course not.
Yeah,
he didn't lie.
No, he's not lying. It's not like I'm not mad at it. There are times where series will do this where I do get get mad at it, where they intentionally, it's not even like for a narrative reason where it's like, oh, like I'm keeping a secret from you or something. It's like they don't tell a person when it's like, why wouldn't they? In this case, it's like, yeah, I guess it never came up because I don't think, well, Rudeus, I don't think he doesn't, we the viewer can pick up on it. What we know is different from what they know, and so he doesn't know that like she's trying to hit on him, but we can. And even like Paul, even Paul with his fucking stupid, two swords are better than one, or he like raises his eyebrow at him.
That's a good conversation. No, I think that in the light novel it's done well. I mean, I would argue that it's done better in the anime, because one thing here, so Roxy's back, go into the labyrinth, yada yada, do some stuff, cool, get to see them fighting some things.
Oh, is them shopping an anime original thing?
Yeah, it was.
They had a fun time out
in the light novel. I went back and checked it, and I guess I still could have missed the page where it was the transitory. But as far as I understand it from reading the light novel, their re-entry into the labyrinth 3 days after Roxy, within their first re-entry into the labyrinth with Roxy, is the one that went down to the room with the 3 teleportation circles where they find the stairs down to the red one. Right, that was the same one. So them shopping is anime original, and I really like it. I think that it goes to show kind of Roxy's mindset on her and Rudy, and gets to kind of grow their relationship like that a little bit, which I really enjoyed getting to see. I'm like, oh, it's weird to see anime original stuff like that. But cool. I did really, really like it. And I think it's also still interesting to see kind of, I guess, more of Rudy's mindset of it, where it's very clear that he's not picking up on any of the signs at all.
His ass is not comprehending what she's
just like, oh, it's great to be back with my master. Oh, she asked me to go with her to go clear Labyrinth. He's like, oh yeah, of course, it sounds awesome. He's like, I'd love to spend more time with her. I really appreciate her. She's a great friend. Oh, but I do have a kid to take care of, so I don't know. I might have to.
He only thinks that. He doesn't say it. If he had just said like, oh, but I have a kid, maybe that would have registered. But what's interesting about that is, she's like, hey, can you and I do it alone?
Well, yeah. Why would anyone else come? Plus, I mean, it's great for them to see each other again. And I think it's also where
Rudeus.
She comes out and she's calling him like Rudeus or whatever she was calling him. And he's like no, just call me Rudy again. We're familiar. We're besties. We're close.
Even though she forgot all about him.
No, Kyle. Look. Do I need to sit you down, young man, and have a discussion? Even watch the episode? What are you, a Chainsaw Man fan? Can't read? Can't watch?
Well, first of all, Chainsaw Man fans right now aren't watching the episodes. They're reading the chapters. Thank you very much.
They're watching the Twitter feed. Go wild with people who don't read.
You got me there. But anyway, no, I know I'm just joking. But like with it, it's it's just all these little hints and little not subtleties, just like she could not be dropping heavier stones on his feet to like draw his attention if she tried, and his ass is not picking up on anything.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's not it's not like an intentional like thickness or just like being stupid. It's just like he's just not thinking about it like that. He's just like,
Yeah.
oh, like I do have a kid to take care of, but yeah, I probably could. Like he's just treating it like a normal kind of like if his
friendship.
dad was like, let's go hit up a dungeon. Yeah, friends. He's unintentionally trying to friend zone her, and she's like trying
really
to
respects her. He's like, oh, it's
trying
great to see you again.
Is Rudeus gonna end up with like 3 weed smoking girlfriends by the end of this?
Well, duh, obviously.
'Cause
Weed
if-
smoking girlfriends, they are my girlfriends, and yes, we smoke weed.
I could
And it's
easily
not a weed cigarette; it's called a bunt.
Anyway, I could easily see Rudeus ending up with like more than one wife, which is kind of weird to say, but I mean, and Paul did it, so history repeats itself, I suppose.
2 swords.
Two swords. He only ever carried the one, and only thought he would ever carry the one.
Yeah, because one used to be enough. One used to be enough, but then I got the second sword. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool to have 2 swords.
And he pulls out a third and puts it in his mouth, and he's like, I got the third.
Dude, no way. Zoro has 3 weed smoking girlfriends.
No, Zoro could have 9 actually.
So there's something else interesting. So we talked about that. Gotta either go back down in the dungeon, do some
Yeah.
cool fighting. I like to get to see kind of them working together as a group and some of the.
Oh, like whenever they fought, one scene I really liked is whenever they were fighting the 2 knights, and it's like Rudeus.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I'm so
Roxy,
glad. I was gonna completely forget to bring that up.
Yeah, Roxy was giving Rudeus or not giving orders, but he's like, should I use earth magic? And she's like, no, like don't do that. And he's like, okay, I'll stick to like support. Or she tells him to stick to support. What is it? Ellen Elise and Paul charge the things, and he's like, I'm quagmiring them. They sink in the ground. And then like they beat him, and then Rudeus is like, "Wow, Dad, like you become really strong." He's like, I haven't really got that much stronger. Like
If anything, I'm weaker.
He's being pretty casual with it. He's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty weak. I've gotten a lot weaker." And he starts walking away, and Ellen
He's
Lee
like, come on,
like,
let's keep going.
big ass grin on his face. The showing off for he could not be happier that he's showing off for his son.
Oh, it's done so well. Could not be happier with it as a light
was
novel
great,
reader.
I must say.
Oh,
So then.
perfect.
I know
Perfect
that
execution.
There's probably little bits and pieces that we overlook. If there's anything I'm missing, let me know.
I think
but
all that happens, and then there's the shopping
final
segment.
sequence. Oh, the shopping sequence, which
think.
that's where she. I
Either
think
that
that's
or
where
the shopping sequence before. I don't. The order of that isn't super important.
Yeah, there's a scene where at some point in the episode, Roxy uses Rudeus as a chair. Lean back on.
Yeah.
And I will phrase it like that, and I will not elaborate.
No, it's not as bad as Dennis, but that's another case.
No,
we're getting too chainsaw man-y for the Mushoku Tensei episode.
We have too much of the brain rot affecting us. Anyway, final sequence, I suppose.
Yeah, so this is where another interesting change happens. So they're in here, right? We get to see them burning the roots to get the things to go away. In the light novel, it goes into a lot more detail on all the different enemies they face down in the dungeon and a lot of the different strategies to face them, which I'm fine. We got to see a little bit of that with Rudy using Quagmire, and kind of their strategy there. We got a snippet of it. It's done a lot more in the light novel, but this is interesting. In the light novel, and I read it and I reconed because I didn't remember this. So in the anime, the teleportation room with the 3 circles is at the end of the 5th stratum. In the light novel, that's on the 6th.
Wait, what? So, hang on. They're in the 6th stratum now. Like they've cleared the 6th stratum.
I think for the anime continuity, they're putting this at the end of the 5th. Because the title of this episode was Magic Circle to the 6th stratum. So they're making it so I mean, I don't think that it's a big spoiler to say the secret red teleportation circle is going to lead them to the boss room.
No.
I know, crazy, right?
No,
where they were like this circle is going to lead us to the boss room. And yada yada. I don't think that's a spoiler to say that that's going to happen. It's going to lead them to the boss room.
Spoiled me.
And so I guess in the light novel, it's like, okay, well, it's just on the 6th stratum as well, or maybe kind of treated as like a quote-unquote 7th stratum. Whereas in the anime, it itself is the 6th stratum. it's an interesting little change. It literally does not matter at all. I think it's probably kind of just done for timing purposes. Just kind of makes it a little bit quicker. They've skipped over kind of more of the details of the labyrinth, which I'm fine with. Ultimately, it's not super important. It's fun stuff for us light novel readers to kind of get into. But ultimately, for story purposes, it's not horrendously important, so I'm fine
The
with
anime
it.
is just hitting like, and not like rapid fire, but the anime seems like it's focusing on the high points on a lot of stuff. Because
Yeah, I
with
mean,
books,
it's impossible to get all the details from, like, it would take way too much time to explain all the enemies and everything in detail and explain their strategy for every. It just doesn't make any sense to put that in the anime.
yeah, I mean, unless
so I mean,
that was the focus of Mushoku Tensei, where it's like, well, more heavy focus on like the battles and like exploring. It's like, well, I mean, it's kind of a secondary thing. Like, the primary thing that we're focusing on is the character dynamics and finding like the
and I mean,
mission.
the light novel is that too. It's primarily focused on the character dynamics and everything. It just has a little bit more time and words to. I mean,
Yeah.
It's obviously a lot easier to put detail into a book as opposed to the show like this.
It's how much the effort they want to put into like animating little extra bits. Like they're doing enough.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's low effort. It just doesn't make sense from a story.
No, not low.
Purpose.
I'm not saying low effort, but like that's extra effort on their part when they only have like so much time, and you can only show so much and do the whole.
Yeah,
like,
they only have
story
so much episodes
on.
to do. I mean, if you had a 20 episode season, yeah, you could adapt everything.
Yeah, but they're doing what they can. So anyway,
no, I mean, it's good. I have no complaints at all. But that's one of the changes. And another change is, so they get to the room, right? They're looking at the 3 teleportation circles. It's kind of mentioned offhandedly. So this is the end of the book's guidance. And there was a rock next to one of the circles, which is the one that the guy in the group's book took, and then they all died except for him, and he escaped, wrote the book, yada yada. And so they're looking through here. They makes an Anahoshi comment. Then they're looking through. Rudy's like, I'll solve it. Paul comes up to him and says, I got something I want to tell you. And he's like, what? And Paul's like, oh, I'll tell you after. And he's like, well, that's the death flag. No, just tell me now. And he's like, look, I'm not going to say anything, Rudy. But he stands up. He's like, look, I'm just saying I got 2 swords, right? I thought, what? I thought one was enough for a while. And then I got a second sword. So this is interesting, Kyle. The reason I'm putting emphasis on this is because in the light novel, we never got that part about the swords. That's anime original. That was the context. That was kind of the implication. It was extremely vague in the light novel. We just got Paul saying, there's something I want to tell you after. Rudy saying, that sounds like a death flag. Tell me now. And Paul's like, no, it would hurt the morale of the party. Yada, 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 whatever. It's not bad. I'm not mad. I'm just going to talk to you about something. And then Rudy's like, okay, cool. Like that's it in the line. It's very vague. Now, the implication is that people have kind of taken from it is that, yes, he was going to talk. He was going to essentially say, look, Rudy, I got 2 swords. Right? But the sword conversation itself is anime original. It's a clarification on the original vagueness that the light novel was written. I really like that, honestly.
Okay, so what he would try to tell, was he gonna just try to tell Rudeus like you should pick up on Roxy's like hints and consider 2 swords?
Probably.
Yeah, because like what? Okay, he's gonna address something with Roxy. At least that's what I'm thinking. But it's hard to know because like it could be a lot of things with what he wants to talk about with Roxy. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's just a little clarification on this point of it. Which I was like, huh? He never made the point about the swords. Here he did.
Neat.
So and then the other change was, so Rudy is looking around the room, sees like, oh, there should be a thing here. So it looks like the teleportation ruins. Finds it, yada yada. The same thing happens in the light novel, but it's in the room before this one, where they cleared out. It was a huge room. They went into here. They see the 3 circles, and it's the room. The last room, him and Paul went to go piss, and they were kind of chatting back and forth while they were pissing, right? Just kind of about the labyrinth. And then Rudy was like, something's bugging me. And then he's like, wait, doesn't this room seem a little long to you? And Paul's like, yeah, I guess so. And then Rudeus was like, oh my gosh, it's like the ruins. And so he tells Geese, yada yada, everything happens the same. Finds the secret underground staircase with the red magic circle that, oh, spoiler alert, it's going to lead them to the boss room. And that's pretty much the episode.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Good episode. I was happy that we got Roxy back, and I'm excited to see what happens next. Like I can't make any predictions because I simply do not know like the scope of what would happen beyond them going into the teleporter.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it?
I mean, people could die. We could like get huge. I don't know like what big reveal would be coming up soon. Maybe we get to see. Who knows? Maybe Zenith's dead. I really don't have any idea as to like what it could be. So I don't know. I am eagerly anticipating next week's episode because we've finally cleared through this teleporter dungeon, give or take. We're at the end of this teleporter dungeon. So they haven't found Zenith. Like all signs are kind of pointing to like, well, I mean, she's probably beyond this point. But who knows what awaits them? Probably. Could just be the worst thing Rudeus has ever experienced in his whole life. Probably, maybe. I don't know. Could be a room full of Orsteds.
You could see Eris down there. Maybe she's been killing Zenith this entire time. Transformed into a hideous beast and is the boss of the dungeon now. And it forces Rudeus and Paul to come to terms with the fact that they have to kill Zenith in order to save her. Okay, so for some reason, the ending of the recording cut off. This is editing Rat. Hi, good to see everyone. So I just wanted to give a outro because the outro got cut off and the end of Kyle and I's conversation got cut off, which is kind of sad, but oh well, I guess it happens. It's never happened before, but here we are. So if you're this far in the episode, then obviously there's something you like, so make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us what you thought about this episode. Thank you all for watching. We both really hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.